It was roughly the week before 4th of July. They wanted us to come to Minnesota, no, South Dakota to work a truck show. And I'm in the diesel engine business for semi trucks of 48 years. And one of my dealers, Shauna Gray, is big into the Big Iron. I think it's the Big Iron Classic. But anyway, the guy that hosts the show came down with cancer, and he was given a couple of weeks left to live. And all of a sudden, he walks out of the hospital on 4th of July weekend. And I said to Shauna, how'd that happen? She said, well, we have these patches that we're wearing here in South Dakota. And his daughters put these patches on him a few days ago. And they showed me a video of him walking out with canes. Now, unfortunately, it was too late. Several weeks later, a couple months later, he passed. But I mentioned that because I do a radio talk show on Monday and one on Tuesday. And Ray Mast from Napanee, Indiana, called me. And he said, we're on the patches here in Napanee. And Kathy Hochstedler does a show on Tuesday night on Zoom. And he gave me the number. And so that Tuesday I was on it. And I was surprised by some of the testimonials. And I started ordering patches. I was set up by Ray. And I'm kind of an extremist. I just didn't start out with a couple. I basically went for them all. And I started, my story basically is about skiing tonight. I started skiing in 1964. I'd missed 1 year. That was about 12 years ago. I had a torn meniscus in the right knee. And now that right knee has given me some problems. It has some arthritis and some bone spurs, but with the ice wave and the Eon, and sometimes Voltaren, and an elastic bandage on the knee, I went back to skiing this year. But up until this year, my very first day at Keystone Ski Resort in Colorado, the run that I do is about 2.5 miles long. And I could do 2 to 3 runs, and then my legs were cramped and cramps in the calf muscles, and I would quit and then come back a couple of days later and maybe do 5. Well, this year I went there and I did 5 runs the first day, and I had no cramps, and I had my patches on, and I thought, wow, I'm not working out hard on my knee, on my legs because of my knee. I'm not doing that much bicycling. But I just didn't pay any attention to the patches, you know. And then 2 days later, I went back and I did 6 or 7 runs. And then we went to a snowmobile conference in Utah. And then I came back, and a day later, I went down to ski with my daughter and son-in-law and 3 grandchildren in Telluride. And my 8-year-old grandson likes to ski top to bottom. And I said, you've got to stop every now and then and give Pep-Pep a 30-second break, because I am 76 years old. And so he would stop and count to 30 as fast as he could. But on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I skied extremely well. And I was really surprised. And we would stop for lunch, and I didn't want to stop for lunch. I wanted to keep skiing, and then I'd ski to the end of the day after lunch. And then it was Friday. I forgot to put the patches on.
Uh-oh.
And after 2 hours of skiing, I was done. And I went back to the room, and I saw my patches. They're in the envelope.
All that pain too, right?
And I said, I forgot the patches. And plus, I was using the energy patch. I normally don't use the energy patch. I use a lot of other patches. I wear 6 to 7 patches a day. And so Saturday, which was our last day, I had all the patches back on, and I skipped lunch. I skied the entire day, and I was ready to give up skiing. I thought maybe, you know, at 76 years old, I was done skiing. And this was my first year skiing with patches, because it was late July when I started on the patches. And I have a renewed interest back in skiing. And after what, 62 years or so of skiing, and I ordered new skis. and they've come in and they're sitting there in Telluride waiting for me now. And I can't wait to try the new skis out. So I was thrilled, and it was the patches that made the difference. It wasn't exercising, it wasn't diet, nothing else had changed. And with the arthritis in the bone spurs in the right knee, the first run of the day was a little sore. Second run was not quite as bad. Third run, I didn't pay any attention to it. I just ripped up the mountain. And so my boat here in Florida, I used to spend all winter in Colorado, and now the last 3 years have been in Florida, and I've had 3 hurricanes, and I have a 37-foot back cove cruiser down here, and it got some severe damage during Hurricane Milton. So I just got it back a week ago Friday from the body shop, and they painted the hull and patched the hull, but they buffed the top part. And when I picked it up, I felt grit. And here, they don't have, in Florida, they don't have garage buildings. They have tents, but they don't have a front and a rear on the tent. And they were grinding and welding on a barge nearby, and the wind was blowing the hot sparks in and landing on the decks of the boat. So yesterday, the painter, who's from El Salvador, and he's a small fella in great shape, he shows up, and he's a bundle of energy. He's 40 years old. So I had all my patches on, and I had the energy patches on the shoulders, and we had clay bars, and I've never used clay bar. Well, clay bar is like rubbing compound. You'll rub for about 4 or 5 times in one area, and you're pushing on it, and all of a sudden you'll just feel the bar glide across. So it's taken all the impurities out of the gel coat. The hull is painted, the top is gel coat. So we did in 4 hours nonstop. I kept right up with this 40-year-old, and we rubbed and rubbed and rubbed. And then we went to lunch, and he left. And I came back, and then I washed the boat and started waxing, and worked until into the evening. And I said, I think the energy patch does work whenever I'm using energy. So that's my story. And I'm very happy. I'll tell you what else. The first thing I noticed with the patches after a couple of days, it calmed me down. I've always been a pretty hyper ADHD person, and the patches have calmed me down, and a lot of things don't bother me now like they used to. So, and I kind of like that part of me, because I'm not used to that. When you've been self-employed in the trucking industry for 48 years. In fact, I got involved with semi-trucks in 1969, but self-employed in December of 77 in the engine business. The patches have been good for the calmness.
Wow. Bruce, what a story. Amazing. At 77, are you kidding me?
76.
76. Amazing. Yep. I gave you one more just to make it even sound even better.
So now I feel like I'll be able to ski into my mid-90s or later.
Wow. Wow. That's just incredible. What a great journey. And you're saying you're using pretty much all the patches, correct? Today?
I wear a lot of patches. I was having trouble swallowing, and the carnosine, wearing it on the chest, has really helped that. So
yeah, you have a lot of great story. I know we don't have a lot of time to share all of it, but just to hear that you're able to get back on your skis is something that was your passion, and be able to do it again, and now be able to do it all the way to your 90s.
And not have leg cramps.
Right.
My calves used to get so sore after the first day I could hardly walk.
Wow.
And that didn't happen. So it's kind of amazing.
It is.
I remember we were in our 20s. We were in Killington, Vermont, and we were taking lessons. And this was like 1971 or 72. And after the first day, we could not walk up or down steps. Our legs hurt that bad. And like I said, we were in 21, 22 years old, maybe 23. And now here at 76, those leg cramps are gone.
Wow.